Hi folks, it's been a while since I posted and I'm sorry for that. I want to explain why. My Parkinson's disease has taken a turn for the worse in that things have progressed very rapidly at the moment. And I just found it too mentally too difficult to put a video together. But I think I've come to terms with it now. I'll just update you with what's happening. I now walk like an old man, very short, shuffly steps. My writing is minuscule. I've decided to get rid of the car. We've got rid of the car because I can still drive, but my reaction times are a lot slower. And I didn't want anybody to be injured if I didn't react quick enough. So I felt it was better to get rid of the car. There are all sorts of other things going on with the Parkinsons, but I think we're gradually going to be sorting out some help for that. I need a wheelchair because I can't walk for any distance at all. My muscles are giving in quite quickly. Not that I don't expect to be able to, use my arms and that kind of thing, but Parkinson's is a very, very odd disease. It works differently in everybody, really. I mean, everybody thinks of the shakes, but my shakes aren't very much at all, unless I try to carry something. And it's come as a bit of a shock, really, that everything happened so quickly. So that's basically why I haven't done any videos. So I'm now making amends, I hope. I'm smoking my Peterson Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And in it I've got some Rustica tobacco. I can just about take that without it affecting me too much because it's very strong tobacco. I got a lot of response from the last video I did on the sacred pipe, and I now use my sacred pipe quite regularly in ritual. I'm beginning to realise that I don't really need to have a tutor or anything like that, although I'd be very glad to have a mentor. I also have a medicine bag around my I'll just show you what they look like. And in it I've got things that mean a lot to me. I'm not going to tell you what they all are, but there's something that connects me to Carolyn. There's a sterolite cross, which is a mineral, and there are other things in there. I'm glad that most of you liked the pipe video, the sacred pipe. I'm still smoking. I can still smoke with Parkinson's. In fact, it's my one pleasure that Parkinson's doesn't seem to have stopped. although I do have a problem with my throat. That's not caused by smoking. What happens is my voice box gets clogged with phlegm, so I have this cough, and if I don't clear it, then I get this sort of sound when I breathe out, depending on which part of the voice box is affected. That can be very annoying. Anyway, back to pipes and tobacco. I'm building up my cellar quite well. I have a big plastic box that I keep the tobacco in. And what I'm doing now is buying 4 or 5 tins of tobacco at a time and storing them away and just getting the occasional tin out to smoke. At the moment I'm smoking, as I say, Rustica, and I've also got Port Latakia, which is a huge tobacco blend. I recently bought a pound of I'll be along in a moment, just let my brain catch up. Captain Earl's 10 Russians, which I think is a super blend. It's everything you could wish for in a blend if you're into Latakia and into Oriental tobacco. And I've yet to buy tobacco from Germany since Brexit, but I'm going to try and put an order in and see whether that comes through, see whether I get it through customs, and see how much postage is, because somebody told me that the German sites have put postage up by quite a lot. The Rustica I've folded and just stuffed in, which, because it's a flake and quite a thick flake, it tends to get solid. So that's why I was poking it with a pin, so that I could get below that crusty part and smoke. As I say, I've been doing a fair bit on Zoom, mainly the Sunday and Wednesday group that meets. I'd be grateful to join any other Zoom meetings if there's anything going on, if people can send me links or details of them, because that gives me contact with other people. It helps me to keep my mind active and keep talking and thinking. I think for a lot of us, Zoom's been a great blessing during the lockdown. I've had both my vaccines, which I'm eternally grateful for, and there were no side effects for me. We're tending to get to a stage in England where we're beginning to come out of a lot of the restrictions. I'm not sure whether that's wise or not. People are beginning to go abroad on holiday again, unfortunately. I think that's far too early. And I think unless they've had the vaccinations, there's a danger that we'll begin to go up again in numbers. At the moment, deaths are maybe 1 a day in the whole country, or at the most 5 a day. So we're doing well there. and hospitals are beginning to become clearer. Not so many people in with COVID, which is good. As I said earlier, we had to get rid of the car, so that restricts a lot of what I do because I haven't got a wheelchair, which makes it difficult for us to go out. Although I do use Carolyn's wheelchair, electric wheelchair, and she also has a scooter, which I use, sort of a disability scooter, 4-wheel job. So that does allow me to sort of go to local shops. So I'm hoping that we might get things sorted out. I think I'll get some appointments now to the various doctors that I see for Parkinson's and nurses. I've got one coming up to see how badly my mind's affected, my brain, to see whether I'm going to suffer from something like dementia or whatever, because sometimes I just find it difficult to drag words out to speak. I hope this isn't boring, but I'm just trying to bring you up to date. We have a problem in the house. You may remember that some of you that I've posted about the cupboard dropping off the wall. Well, apparently the whole of the back of the house is soaking wet. All the brickwork and that kind of thing, and it's also got some movement in it. So they're going to have to come and deal with that at some point. But I think they're trying to wait till the wall dries out, or until they get round to doing it. The church commissioners are not very good at looking after their housing stock. One of the things I've been doing is a lot of reading, and I found a fantastic series of books which are factual books, not sort of novels or anything like that. I'm at the moment, they're all by one author, and she's incredibly knowledgeable about London and about the history of London. So one of the books was on about sin through the ages in London, dealt a lot with prostitution and that kind of thing, starting with the Romans and coming up to the present day, which was fascinating. There have been other ones as well. As I say, at the moment I'm reading about theatres in London, how they started during the Elizabethan era, and I've sort of got to Shakespeare at the moment, but that will progress like the other books up to present day. There have been things like talking about society through the ages and various sort of famous people who have been very naughty. So that's been good. And I've just been looking up the order of reading Dune books. I intend to start at the very beginning of the series, Hunting Harkonnens, and then going right through to the last book in the series. I do that maybe once or twice a year. I realise that this is jumping all over the place. I had intended it to be sort of much more tobacco-based or on about spirituality and tobacco. One thing I have found is that the sacred pipes help me a lot to ground myself in relationship to the world, and that's been a great blessing to me. I think I'm going to stop there because I'm not sure whether this video is worth watching or not. So I'll stop there, I'll upload it. If it's a load of rubbish, tell me. But I do intend to post more frequently and have a subject when I post. If any of you want, I'll read some of my writings that I've done, either poetry or short stories. I intend to do a lot more on tobacco and what I'm smoking and why, and maybe on my pipes. And I'll keep you updated with how things go with the Parkinsons and with the various results of tests and of finding help. So I'm going to say good night to you now. Every blessing, and thank you for, as I say, your response to my last video. May you all be richly blessed. May you realize just how loved you are, just how important you are. Each one of us is unique. Each one of us has our part to play in society and in the world. But the main thing that each of us should do is enjoy life. Live it to the full. And try, as to the best of your ability, to be kind and loving to all. Just wondering whether I've got a joke that I can tell you that's not too obscene. I have a feeling I will probably tell you a joke that I've already told you. I know one that I can tell you. If I've told you it before, then I'm sorry. But there's this young priest, and his bishop comes to him and says, I want you to do something for me. We have a problem with the priest in the diocese.
It's 21 hours.
Father Smith. We think there's something going on between him and his housekeeper. And what we'd like you to do is to go and see what you can find out, invite yourself for a meal or something like that. So the young priest does so and has a nice meal with the priest and his housekeeper, and thinks, yes, there's something not quite right here. So he lays a little trap. Anyway, he sets off home, gets home, and the next morning the housekeeper says to the old priest, that young curate, you know that silver ladle we have, that Georgian silver ladle? Well, I hate to say this, but it's missing, and I think he's taken it. So the old priest says, just leave it to me, I'll give him a ring. So the old priest rings up and says, I'm sorry, Father, you know, when you left from the meal, we couldn't find the Georgian ladle. And he said, I'm not saying you have, and I'm not saying you haven't, but, you know, if you took it, I'd appreciate it back. So the young priest says, well, Father, I'm not saying you are, and I'm not saying you aren't, But if you'd slept in your own bed last night, you'd have found the ladle. Good night.